It's a bear. Interesting. Good morning. Hey, what's up? This is Brian Kuzmar with Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals in beautiful Lauderdale by the Sea. Our weather is just lovely out here still. I can't believe it. We're at the end of April, and where did the time go? Oh my gosh, it's just flown by. The first quarter's just gone. We're into May almost here. And actually May 1st, the big silver squeeze day, I guess, starts on Saturday, except there are no precious metal traders open on Saturdays, or no real ones, because there's no markets on Saturdays. However, I'm sure you can buy some stuff, but Monday would seem to be the big silver squeeze day at the Wall Street silver squeeze. From what I hear, that should be the big day when all the guys come in and buy 100-ounce bars. I will let you know how that flies, and we'll see what happens. However, I think we're going to see some down markets, and so does the coin here, oddly enough, next week because of Asian holidays and monkey hammering. So will we see a monkey hammer Friday or a monkey hammer Monday? That I can't answer. But we'll take a look at spot prices a little bit. Maybe we can determine it from there. The government stole my gold and silver. We'll say no one anytime soon. So I'd like to go over this little topic here because it's something I hear all the time, especially from new gold and silver buyers that are very concerned about giving their names, having their names on invoices, having their names on on the sales receipt and such. And a lot of these customers are really, the reasons they don't want their names on the receipts is for some really silly reasons and some crazy reasons, and some reasons that were actually started by telemarketers years ago in efforts to sell rare coins or high premium coins rather than selling bullion products. But before I get to that little topic, and we're going to talk about comments from yesterday's videos, some really cool stuff on gold and silver ratios I really want to discuss. I didn't know to make this two shows or one shows. Two shows or one show, but we're going to talk about gold silver ratios. A very interesting parallel that I've noticed here on that I think you'll be interested to know for yourself. Again, the part of my shows here. One thing I do want to, I'm getting a lot more calls from people that are outside my area. Remember, folks, I don't sell precious metals online. I don't mail anything out. We are a brick and mortar store only in South Florida, in Lauderdale by the Sea. So if you want to buy gold and silver from me, you have to physically come in between the hours of 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. to do that with me. And I'm sorry about that. I get a lot of calls from people saying, hey man, you'll beat prices, and I would. But the problem is I'm a local brick and mortar only. We don't do online sales. So let me, I didn't mean to digress there, but I think that's important to say now because I am getting a lot more calls from people from out of state. And these videos were primarily intended for my local customers, but if I'm getting out there and I'm teaching people from other states and other places things, I think that's really cool too. And one of the big things I always talk about again is buy from your local coin store, buy from your local dealer. Keep that money in your city or your county, and if you have to take an hour drive because you got no one good with, in your city or your county, take an hour drive, keep that freaking money in your state. That's just my opinion. Let's quickly talk about, because I don't want to make the show too long, and I always do. Let's talk about what's in the news here on Zero Hedge. Not too much. Commodity bulls riding high on U.S. dollar weakness. And again, I've spoke about this, I think, in a few videos I've done. I think that we're in a commodities bull market here coming up soon. Not just gold, silver, platinum, and precious metals, but I think copper, iron, aluminum, all these different things. I think that we're in a bull market here soon. And what does that mean for the economy? What does that mean for gold, silver, and precious metals? Well, obviously, if we're in a commodities bull market, that's good for gold and silver, but it's triply good for gold, triply good for gold, silver, and precious metals. Why? Because a commodity bull run in metals outside of precious metals like copper, not even metals, oil, all these things are going to raise the specter of inflation or hyperinflation or big inflation, which is not good for the economy. It's not good for the U.S. dollar, but it is good for gold and silver and platinum triply. So no less. I'm not going to click the article. I hope that most of you are now, since you've been watching me for the last year and hearing me repeat it constantly, that ZH should be on your bookmarks bar and should GATA. I'll get to that in a moment. So read this article, and I think you're going to find it interesting. Other than that, not too much in gold and silver and precious metals, but I like to read it and look at this stuff anyway because a lot of news that you may not think has a direct effect. Let me put it this way. Any political or economic news that has a bad effect on the U.S. dollar or the U.S. economy or the world economy is good for gold and silver. How good it is just depends on, how severe the problem is. And again, we talk about black swans too, looking out for potential black swans that will drive the prices of metals up. Well, what is the big black swan out there? The blackest swan of them all is the decline in the value of the U.S. dollar buying power, fiat currency. U.S. dollar is fiat. It's not backed by anything, but again, you know what fiat currency is. You watch this enough, and we're not going to talk about that for the 1,000th time already. The 13,000th time, whatever. Let's take a look at a couple of other articles. No, bonds aren't overvalued. Not too much here. Stimulus sparks record surge in personal incomes in March. Spending spikes. And what this tells me is that we could see some positive data come out here real soon. Remember, the economy went from 100 miles per hour in 2019 to basically 10 miles per hour in 2020. So the recovery will appear to be, or business picking back up and things getting back to normal somewhat will appear to be a big thing as far as numbers goes. Oh, look at the spike in the recovery. Well, that's because, again, we went from 100 miles per hour in 2019 to 10 miles per hour in 2020. And now we're going to be back up to about 20 or 30 miles per hour in this year. 2021, maybe 40 miles per hour. But you kind of get the drift where I'm going with this. And when you sat for a whole year in 2020 going at 10 miles per hour, and you know what it's like sitting in a traffic jam, you're going at 10 miles per hour, oh my God, all of a sudden 30 miles per hour seems really fast, and now you're happy. So that's kind of what the economy is going to appear like, in my opinion, where things are going to appear here quickly, maybe for the next quarter, the next couple quarters. Oh, the data is going to look kind of like it's positive, it's going up, but it's just from your perspective of 2020, anything looks good. So let me kind of move along to some other things here. Again, not too much, some sad things, but not too much going on. And everything bubble and what it means for your money. Good article, I read that a little bit earlier too. But again, nothing directly to do with gold and silver, but it all does in the long run. In the long run, gold and silver and precious metals, the biggest black swan of all is three things, or two things at least. The biggest black swan is a declining value of a fiat dollar that they're printing endlessly. And the second big black swan is governments worldwide. Our government, other governments, we are our own worst enemy when it comes to that stuff. And these people certainly don't make smart decisions. And that's why we have a dollar that's declining and has been for decades and decades, since we got off the gold standard entirely. Articles in gata.org. New Orleans, and okay, not too much there. Former U.S. Mint director says gold and silver shorts can't be covered. Now, again, if you don't put ZH on your daily bookmark bar, I get it. I get that. But you do, as a gold and silver buyer, you do have to have gata.org on your bookmark bar. You need to be reading this once a week at least. A couple of the headlines I'm just going to go over here. Former U.S. Mint director says gold and silver shorts can be covered with metal. I watched that. It was on Kitco Reports. Michelle, I like Michelle, from Kitco, introduces former U.S. Mint Director Ed Moy. Ed Moy basically says that everything that I've been talking about for the last year on these videos is that there's over leverage or certain. Now, this is the director of the Mint, the past director of the U.S. Mint, saying this, so it's kind of telling. Ed is just confirming everything that I've said over the last year, and that Ted Butler said, and a lot of people that have talked about price manipulation and precious metals have said that the paper market is just so huge. There's not enough paper out there to cover the market. There is a shortage of silver out there and gold. Again, this is from a former U.S. Mint director that is a pretty smart guy. You can go on to got this site right here, gata.org, click that, and then they have a link to the video there as well. I definitely watched the video. He's a smart guy, and I think he's kind of just confirming exactly all the things we've talked about for the last year. Move along here to a few other things. China owns a lot more gold than it's letting on, and here's why. Another good article. I'm not going to click and watch the video or read the article in full here, but I'm going to point out a few things it does say, again, that we've been talking about for quite some time. By Dominic Frisby, good article, thank you, sir, from Money Week. It has been clear for some time that China has designs on U.S. dollar global reserve status. For China, this is simply a return to its rightful position on top of the world. And I agree with this 100%. China's rise is not to be partners with the rest of the world. China, in my opinion, not Chinese people, not the Chinese people at all. Not the country. The country is beautiful. The Chinese people are great. But their government, and not unlike our government or any other governments, suck. Their government is really, really bad, though. I mean, but. And again, I can't point fingers at them when we have just as equally as bad government in our own way, but their government's bad in a very different way. I won't go into that, but their government wants to be on top of the world. They want, I guess, no, maybe it's not unlike us. So our country wants to be the world leader as well, too. So they're on a fight to be the world leader. But you know what? I like the idea of world partnerships, not anybody fighting to be the world leader. It's time for the world to act as partners, all the countries. But I digress, and let me continue to read this. To us Western usurpers, the implications of this are just enormous. 9 in 10 central banks are working in digital currencies. Now, this is something that we've been talking about quite extensively. I believe that that Bitcoin and private cryptos are really just an experiment that's been played on us by central bankers or by the powers to be to see how they could get the younger generation and folks to accept fiat, digital fiat. They don't even have to print paper anymore. Think about it. And they can keep track of everything, and they can put expiration dates. There's so many scary things about a cashless society that I hate, that I would never want to see, and I think that would be basically a terrible future for all of us, is to get into a cashless society like that. No less. 9 in 10 central banks are working on digital currencies. And as I've always said, I thought at some point that they would either make digital currencies illegal and or highly regulate them, which they're doing. So they're doing both of those things, and I said they were going to do that a long time ago. So they're highly regulating them or they're making them illegal. And then what the end goal has been always, in my opinion, is they will adopt the technology for their own good. And that's what we're seeing right now. Again, 9 in 10 central banks are working on digital currencies. This is a fact, folks. So I'm not saying I could tell the future, but the writing was on the wall way back then and still on the wall today. And if you can't read it, then you got your head up your ass too far somewhere else. So I'm sorry to say it, but it's true. According to research, FinTech and IT Benchmarks 20, none except perhaps Bahama are as advanced as China, which has been, that's interesting, Bahamas, I didn't realize that, which has been working on it since at least 2014. Word is that it wants to be fully functional in time for the Beijing Olympics in 2022. So China, and we've already read that China's already introduced in an experimental way their cashless society. What's scary about China's cashless society, which is going to be adopted by our governments too as well, and U.S. too, trust me on this, folks, if you allow this to happen, they're going to adopt cashless digital currencies here in the U.S., like China. And Chinese digital currency can have an expiration date. They can turn it on or off. So all of a sudden, if somebody in government or the IRS or someone thinks they hate you, they can just cut you completely out of the financial system. You would be a nobody. All of a sudden your mortgage disappears, or your mortgage they can just disappear your ass, disappear you financially, make it so you can't get on a plane or a train or anything. So that's where we're headed, folks. We're headed to that Chinese authoritarian cashless society. So anyway, don't you forget it. Don't you ever forget that I said this. Again, I digress. The Wall Street Journal, meanwhile, reports that Chinese broadcasting CGTN has been circulating an animation of an Englishman in an American flag shirt being knocked out by a golden coin with the stamp of a digital yuan. One word struck out for me from the Wall Street Journal piece: golden. Well, and this is where this article is going to, and this is where I probably might disagree with the author of this right here. But anyway, you should definitely read this good article. I definitely believe that the Chinese are interested in introducing a digital currency. that they want to trade worldwide and domestically. Maybe the worldwide one won't be as restrictive as their domestic currency will be, their digital currencies, but folks, this is bad stuff. This is really bad stuff. I can see the advantage of technology, of crypto technology, of peer-to-peer transfers of money between you and I, where I can transfer a certain amount of fiat to you and a certain amount of fiat so you can buy gold or I can buy gold and we can bypass the banks entirely. But to use it as money, man, that's dangerous, folks. You shouldn't let it happen. Good article again. And the reason that I don't think that the Chinese are going to back this digital, I could be wrong in this, but I don't think the Chinese are going to back this digital currency with gold for two reasons. Number one is the fiat system is still too valuable, even though we know it breaks down and overall it'll fall apart. But they will just recreate a new fiat system, and that's what they're doing. So I don't think they're going to have to back it. I think all governments love fiat because, again, what's not to love about having an endless printing press, right? It's a dream come true. So that's the one reason I don't think the Chinese will back the yuan with gold. The second reason I don't think the Chinese will back the yuan with gold is because they'd rather hold the gold for themselves. It's a store of wealth. You know, while governments, and the Chinese government's the same as any other government, why they'd be telling you to, oh, hey, get the digital currencies we're giving you, get the currency, take the fiat. They're hoarding gold. Does that tell you something? Our government does the same thing too as well. So let me move out of gata.org and move on to one of the things I was talking about right here, which was government stole my gold and silver. Now, this is what I get to hear all the time. Man, it's going to be a long show too, so I'm going to try to cut this short. And where do you get this from? Well, Roosevelt orders 4-day bank holiday, puts embargo on gold, calls Congress, and this is the big thing that we see all the time. Under the executive order of the president, remember, this is what I hear when people come and say, I don't want any receipts. And boy, I got to tell you, we do everything by the book here, folks. I cross my T's, I dot my I's. For the little bit of money I make on precious metals, I am certainly not risking my business to some stupid law that I didn't follow or regulation I didn't follow. But no less, I do get people come in, and I've got to explain to them because I know they're not trying to hide their money. People come in, oh, I don't want to give my name, and I know it's Grandma, actually. Grandma comes in here with Grandpa, and she's like afraid because she remembers this Roosevelt thing. Well, what if I give you my name? They're gonna confiscate. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be whiny, but they're gonna confiscate my gold. And I'm saying, no, Grandma, they're not gonna confiscate your gold. You know, there's a couple reasons. Well, the gentleman on the phone that called me on from one of these companies told me that they're going to confiscate my gold. And I said, no, they're not going to confiscate your gold, Grandma. You know, they're telling you that because they want to sell you high-priced numismatic products like $20 gold pieces, and that's actually where that scare tactic came from telemarketers. So whenever you see a company that's selling precious metals that brings up the point that gold can be confiscated, this is why you want to buy $20 gold pieces or rare coins or stuff like that, they're totally bullshitting you. That was a telemarketing script that was played on people 25 years ago. I forget the company. They were a big company that was out there selling gold. One of the big first out there, and I forget the name of their company. But that was one of their scare tactics, to get people to buy $20 St. Gaudens and $20 Liberties for 20 to 30% more than the price of gold. Well, and you got to remember, during the gold confiscation, this is what a salesman would tell Grandma. During the gold confiscation of 1933, they didn't confiscate rare coins or high premium collectible coins. Well, that is true. If you take a look at the laws and executive orders, they did allow people to have jewelry, and you just weren't allowed to own bullion. It was kind of a funky deal anyway. Again, we'll get into that shortly as well. But that was somewhat true. But here's the thing, is we are no longer on the gold standard. So why would Grandma have to worry about gold confiscation today? And in fact, why would you, me, or anyone have to worry about gold confiscation today? At the time when FDR made this executive order, which turned out to be illegal, and he had to redo it and re-sign it and make another one, we were on the gold standard. So he had some kind of semblance of legality. If you really put a stretch to the imagination, FDR could ask people to turn in all their gold to boost the value of the dollar or the ability to borrow of the dollar. Basically, we only had so much gold in our vaults, and we had already borrowed to. And again, this is about borrowing money. This is why Roosevelt made this order and wanted to confiscate gold, because, like some of our people in government today, he wants to borrow, borrow, borrow. So he didn't have enough money to borrow legally because we were on the gold standard. Gold standard says you can only borrow up to the amount of gold you have, or so to speak. So he had to get more gold in the vaults, so he figured he'd legally steal it. And he did have some legal right, again, because we were on the gold standard. But remember, folks, nowadays that doesn't apply. So that guy telling you, your grandma, that she has to buy $20 gold pieces or stuff like that because of confiscation or potential confiscation is full of shit, because we are no longer on the gold standard since Nixon in 1972 took us off the gold standard. If they did that today, it would amount to just sheer theft. Okay, just pure sheer theft. And by the way, take a look at some of my other videos. I did another video on pro tips down below that talks all about 1933 and why the confiscation thing is such bullshit today. Why worrying about government confiscating your gold is such bullshit today. The only reason you'd have to worry about government confiscating your gold today is that couple reasons. You're doing something illegal, and again, chances are that's the reason. Or the only other reason you have to worry about gold confiscating, or your government confiscating your gold, is because you did something stupid, like you went and you took a bunch of cash out and you ran around to a bunch of local coin stores trying to buy little increments and pretending that, oh no, or you look suspicious. Again, dealing in cash is more suspicious than buying gold. That's a fact. So I'd be happy to talk about that, but again, I could go on forever. And the point is, even today, even if the government needed the money and want, Americans hold so little gold in the grand scheme of things. You and I do, but we have a common interest. We're looking to preserve our wealth with gold and silver. We know other gold owners, but most people and I know in our lives, they don't own gold and silver. So what would the government do? Go out and knock doors down to get a couple measly ounces, or 10 ounces here, or 100 ounces there? It would cost them more to do that. And this is why gold confiscation is bullshit. People that worry about it and people that talk about it are full of shit, because it would cost them way too much to come out and confiscate gold. Way too much. There's not enough out there in public hands to worry about it in the bullion form. And the other reason is, ready, drum roll, the other reason that there will never be gold confiscation, because of this right here. See this right here? With the stroke of a pen, a law of the land, which is kind of cool. I think his name is Paul Begala, and he worked for Bill Clinton way back then. And basically what this statement meant is that with just the stroke of a pen, the government could get as much money as they want, more than they could ever get by confiscating every piece of jewelry, every piece of gold bullion in the entire United States. Even if they got every piece, even jewelry, if they got every tiny piece of gold in the United States, they went out and confiscated, they still couldn't get as much money as they could with the stroke of a pen. And what is a stroke of the pen? A stroke of the pen would simply mean adding another 5% or 2% of tax to all of the pension accounts and retirement accounts out there in the world. Out there in the United States, not in the world. What am I saying, in the world? So do they need to go out and knock doors down and look through paperwork to find people that own gold and silver to get a measly amount of gold and silver, and cost them a fortune to do it, when they can simply, with the stroke of a pen, steal more money than imaginable you can even imagine? And what is that money? Take a look at this. This is just 1991. A magazine article claims that pension retirement funds own 40% of American common stock and represent, that's 1991, folks. 2.5 trillion in assets. Can you imagine what that number is now? 5 and 10 trillion in assets. So what would the government do to get money? A stroke of a pen. They're not going to come and get your gold. So forget that bullshit nonsense you're hearing from people about gold confiscation, and forget about not going around trying to get your name not on paper. Oh, because they're going to come and get my... It's bullshit, man. I'm telling you. With the stroke of a pen, and with 5 to 10 trillion dollars, who knows how many trillions of dollars is out there, they could get it that way much easier. So next time someone tells you the government's after your gold, other than if you're doing something illegal, tell them they're full of shit, and you can give them my videos and my name, Brian Kuzmar, and said I told him so. Sorry, I don't mean to be so forward about that. And I'm going to go into something else here that I think that you're going to like, And give me a second here. Taxes and taxpayers. Well, there's a reason you may want paperwork here, whether you're going to sell your gold now or whether you're going to leave it to your children in the future or whoever you leave it to or whatever you do with it. We're getting more and more into a cashless society. People don't pay cash. We limit our cash purchases here to $200. Over $200, we pay you with a check, folks, and that's going to be pretty much the norm in the world unless we get into a cashless society, which will be even worse. When I got to start paying digitally, I'm retired. But meanwhile, you want paperwork here, and here's why I'll tell you this. You've been buying and stacking for years now, okay? And you've got, I don't know how much you got 10 ounces, you got 1,000 ounces, you got 1 ounce, whatever. It's important to you. Whatever you have is important to you. You worked hard for it, you want to keep it. So you have no paperwork. You go and you sell your gold and silver, and all of a sudden, over the course of the year, whatever, you sell your 1 ounce, your 10 ounce, your 100 ounces because you found a good opportunity to sell, you found a better investment, whatever the reason may be, and there's good reasons to sell gold down the road, there will be. So all of a sudden now you've got yourself a big check here, or in worst case scenario, digital. God forbid it's digital, then you're screwed. But you got yourself a big check here. So you put your check in the bank, and most of the time you're not going to get audited with the check unless your bank gets, unless you get an audit, you're not going to have to worry about it. You can put a check in your bank account for $1 million, and IRS may miss it your entire lifetime. You may never have to pay tax on it just because they don't have the resources to look at everything. However, there is a record of it, so that's the important thing to know. There's a record of that check, and my recommendations is always follow the laws. For the little bit of money that you'll pay out, it's not worth looking over your shoulders. So, dot your I's and cross your T's. And how are you going to do that if you don't have any paperwork? So if you got audited and you sold $10,000, $100,000, or $1,000 worth of gold, the auditor is going to come in and say, well, what'd you pay for that gold? And you're going to go, well, I paid, for my 10,000 in gold, I paid 5,000. The auditor's going to say, well, where's the paperwork that proves you sold 5,000? And what are you going to do? You're going to stare at them with a blank look. Well, I don't have the paperwork. Well, I'm sorry, sir. We're going to charge you for that full. We're going to charge you the capital gains, and who knows what capital gains tax will be on that point for the full 10,000. So you may have paid 5,000 or 7,000, only made 3,000, but IRS is now going to tax you for the full amount. This is why you want good paperwork. Just because you own gold, number one, no one's going to come in and confiscate your gold. Let's get that out of the way, first off. Number two, you do want the paperwork because at some point you are going to have to sell the stuff, or your family is. So having good paperwork proving what you paid for it will keep the taxes down, hopefully. Again, this is my recommendation. I've been doing this full-time since I was a kid. So I've been doing this since 1977, basically, when I first started working with my father. And I am around the business since I was a kid as well. So I do have experience in this. But remember, I am not a tax professional either. So when you're doing this kind of stuff and you're talking about taxes and you got a gold and silver pile, make sure you talk to your accountant about this kind of stuff too, the best way to handle it. That's my recommendation. Also, make sure you plan for this kind of stuff. So again, I've proven two things here. I've proven, number one, why gold confiscation is complete bullshit, and I proved, number two, why you want to have paperwork. And if you got any questions about that, and anybody questions you about that, give them my name. Like I said, Brian Kuzmar. I'll tell them they're full of shit if they tell you anything otherwise. Happy to do it. I'm very confrontational on subjects that I'm sure I'm right about. So, oh boy, gosh, got a long one there too. I'm going to still talk about silver to gold ratios. Gosh, folks, I'm sorry about the length of this show. Well, about 30 minutes ago is when I last updated this. This is a static page, and this is why I like to do this. Let me do a quick update here. This is CCE. It's a great system. I love it. Been with it. This system has been around since they used to have a ticker tape, a little tape you fed into a machine. My father was on this system back in the 70s. Amazing. Anyway, I won't go into that right now, but 1771.94. We're still down a little bit, 26, hanging on to that range. I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen any monkey hammering today. Again, Asian holiday next week. But hey, the silver squeeze, so let's see what happens. And but meanwhile, it's a great buying opportunity. Like I said, one day we're all going to wake up in the future. If we wake up, hopefully you do, and I do, and I hope your family and all your loved ones do as well. But you got to look at it this way. One day we're going to wake up in the future, hopefully wake up. and we're going to look and we're going to say, gosh, you remember when gold was below $2,000, or remember when gold was below 2,500? It'll happen, trust me. You know, on long enough timeline, you live long enough, you'll be saying that. And same thing with silver. You'll be saying, remember when silver was $25 an ounce and it's like 50 now or more? And the same thing with platinum and palladium, and I'm sure the same thing with other investments that you take the time, or hedges that you take the time to look at and study and take the time to invest in, like you are with me here. So anyways, there's my anyways. I believe that we're going to have a kind of sideways market here, and give me 1 second and make sure I had that plugged in. And let's see what happens Monday. The coin says bear. I think we're going to have a down market on Monday, and I think today's going to be a little bit sideways. But again, let's see what happens. I could very well be wrong on this one. Let's talk about one thing I wanted to mention earlier is about the gold to silver ratio. There's a very strange thing that I noticed because I was looking at my videos from last year, you know, from around this time. Remember when the gold and silver ratio was like 120 to 1, 120 to 1, that high? I think it was around April. Take a look down here. It says April. I love macro trend charts, by the way. They're the best. But let's take a look here, and you'll see about 120 to 1. There was a strange anomaly. I kept saying at this time point in my videos, and I was saying it over and over, that either gold was too high or silver was too low, that the gold rate to silver ratio was way out of whack. Oddly enough, this is about the time, too, I think some big funds were about to switch from gold into silver and switch out shortly thereafter. Here's the drop, but we'll talk about that some other time. But take a look at that ratio, 120 to 1 at that time. Silver at that point was, what is this? This is my gold chart. Yeah, it's a gold chart. So gold, let's go to 20, here we go, April 2020 was 1773. So the ratio at that time in silver, let's take a look at silver, was still in that $15 range. Take a look at this. This is pretty cool. July 2020, oh, let me go back, April 2020, look, $15.45. This is the, again, $15.45 silver, $1,700 plus gold, and this is right around the same time that we had that 120 to 1 ratio. And again, I kept saying, and it's funny, I was smiling when I was listening to these videos, I kept saying over and over, either gold is too high or silver is too low. So either gold will come down in price or silver will come up to meet its gold price, and it kind of both happened. So, and that's exactly what happened, because where are we at today, folks? We are at, and I don't have a chart, no, I don't have a chart for where we're at today, but we're back at that average level we've been at since 1980, 1990. We're in that 30 to 1 ratio. I mean, not 30 to 1 ratio, I'm sorry. We're in that 68 to 70 to 1 ratio. So the ratio with gold, silver is really back into its last few decades norm, let's call it. The norm of the last few decades has been in this range where we're at today. So I see the price of gold, silver, and platinum. I don't know about platinum, but gold, silver for sure, rising almost simultaneously right now. I still think gold is ultimately the leader, but silver is probably still well underpriced in my opinion. But again, if you look at the ratio of the last 3 decades or more, silver is not underpriced compared to gold. So that's a tough call. Will silver rise dramatically without gold rising? Will that ratio come down even lower? Not according to, again, data from the last 30 years, but you know, just because data tells us the last 30 years it hasn't doesn't mean it won't. Again, graphs are great for telling you where you've been, but it's hard to tell exactly where you're going with them. Otherwise, we'd all be rich. Well, that's really about it. Sorry I made the show so long here. A couple things I got to go over is videos from yesterday and the comments from yesterday's video. And I did take a look at videos on YouTube. You know, one thing, I've been doing this since I was a kid, and I started in 1977 doing this, working for my father, and full-time shortly after that. But no less, I've been doing this full-time, selling on the front lines, selling gold, silver, and platinum. I am a true retail and wholesale guy too when it comes to precious metals, and I'm a specialist in rare coins as well, and paper money. But I've been reading, I've been looking at some of the videos on, I typed in gold, silver, and precious metals up here, gold and silver on YouTube, And I took a look at some of the videos. Here's that article we talked about earlier with that mint director right there, Mr. Moy. Good watch too, by the way. He says the same thing. Again, I'm just repeating what I said earlier, but this is the video I was talking about where the mint director says the same thing we've been talking about for over a year now, or confirms what we've been talking about. But some of the videos are real good. I like her. I just like her. I like her videos. And some of them, you know, for me to watch any of them, it's really tough sometimes because I do this every day for a living. Just imagine whatever you do for a living every day, 5 days a week. You've been doing it for 40 years now. You know, on Friday night, are you going to go home and watch videos about what you do for a living? Likely not. So forgive me if I don't know all the different video producers here and who makes them. And a lot of them, especially the guys that aren't in the business, I love the most. The guys that aren't in the business that are talking about gold, silver, and platinum, you know why I love them the most? Because they know they're not always right, and the passion. I love the passion that they have. The guys that are professionals on here, some of them I like, some of them I don't. Some of them I think give bad information. Some of them I think are out just for themselves, and some of them I just think are not that smart. But then again, some of them are really good. And you know who I like. Well, let me talk about our videos here, and a lot of guys probably hate my videos. So I guess what goes, that's the beauty of opinion and having all kinds of choices. I love having choices out there. I'm one of many choices on YouTube, and for those of you that made the choice to watch me and hit these like buttons, and please hit the like button on this video, and the share and saves, I really appreciate it. Yesterday's video, as you have known, I used to talk, when I started, my videos were much smaller. I had so few comments, so I could answer them easily. And for those folks that I don't answer the comments and that have been with me a long time, I do apologize. And again, always thanks for watching. I've got to kind of start picking out some specific comments here, and I'm going to try to do that. Hold on, I got to admit, this has nothing to do with any comments here, but I got to read this one because it made me laugh. The Reddit kids are mad about underpriced silver, but why aren't they mad at Hot Pockets? They're still only $3.99. That was funny, but even funnier was Mark S.'s comment because Hot Pockets are at even $2.99 or overpriced. So sometimes things have nothing to do with business, and you got to just bring them up because they make you laugh. They put a smile on your face. Again, all the folks that are consistent watchers out there, I really appreciate it. Oh, I guess I was wrong on something here. There have been, I said yesterday that no presidents have ever been reelected during a recession or depression, but that's not true. You know, because remember, George Bush Sr. Lost the election because of a recession depression, and so did Trump to some degree, plus other things, I think. But I won't go into that. But there have been two presidents. I guess this they say FDR was one of them, and I don't know who the other one is. So I was wrong about that. Dumb Things You See, local customer, thank you for coming in, sir. I'm glad I can put the name in the face now. Check out SEC versus Ripple lawsuit. Yeah, you and I have been talking about, or we've been talking, not you and I, but I've been talking about regulators, and don't ever put your trust in regulators, especially government regulators. Are the worst. So, you know, do your own due diligence. Don't ever trust a regulator. Thanks for watching Dumb Things You See. Again, I wanted to stick to a few specific things here that we were talking about. And again, we talk about the manipulation guys here. How is JPM allowed to even hold 1 billion ounces of physical silver? Well, this is something we talked about yesterday, so Jay Gill, I will bring up this particular one. The Hunt brothers are forced out of the physical market when they only had 200 million ounces. You don't think JP is a high-frequency trading back? Absolutely, I think JP... Again, my show yesterday, I was just bringing up how JP, a lot of people have mistaken that JP still owns a short position, which is not true. Now, JP has been fined for manipulating gold and silver markets, but since then, my understanding is JP, and what you mentioned here, has almost 1 billion ounces of physical silver. So JP is quietly letting everybody think that they still have this huge short position. They've not been out there knocking that rumor down, and there's a reason why they haven't knocked that rumor down. Maybe they want people to think they have a big short position still, but they don't. They got out of that short position some time ago, as many of us know that follow this stuff. However, the masses out there and people that don't follow news on this stuff like I do, and some of us do, don't know that, and they still think JP is a short position. But no, they have a large physical position. My understanding, they are in the position to benefit, and maybe some of this gold and silver shortages has something to do with some big entities out there stockpiling and shit-holing away, getting rid of their paper. Think about this. JP gets rid of all their worthless paper, so do some other entities or whoever is doing it. They get rid of their paper gold and silver, and they replace it with what? Physical. All right. Now, we got shortages out there. Now, shortages can be accounted also to 2020, where mints and mines and everything was shut down for a year. But the fact is, we had shortages going on before that even, folks. Before 2020, we had shortages going on with silver. For the people out there denial that there were silver shortages, or there are silver shortages, it was happening before 2020, folks. So don't believe the deniers out there that there are no silver shortages or gold shortages. With that said, maybe part of the 2020 definitely would exasperate the problem by reducing the amount of silver available, because again, mines and mints were closed for the most part. People weren't buying or selling silver. There were no scrap coming in hardly, so that would decrease the amount coming into the market. But what if we had an acceleration of gold and silver going out of the market into entities like JP and other entities that were, again, were deleveraging themselves from paper and getting the physical? This is probably where we're at. So if JP did it, trust me, there's some other entities out there that done it. This is probably where all the gold and silver's at that you can't find right now. So anyways, and they're set themselves up in a long position, obviously. So again, remember what we've been talking about? Of course, the game is rigged, but if you know how the game is rigged, you can win at it. I kind of botched the saying, but we know how the game is rigged. And this is why I keep telling you, shithole and stockpile the physical metal away as much as you can. Your day will come. Let me go along to a few other things. Yes, sir, by the time New York opens, Florida will have an open for a year. Yeah, I got to admit, Florida is doing really good, sir. Our economy is going. I think Florida is going to be one of the top #1 economies, top 2, top 3 economies in the entire country, in the entire United States. I really believe that. Only because I think our governor made the right decisions. Not that he's a great guy or a great politician, or I like that fact he's left or right or whatever, but I think he just made the right decisions in this particular case. Let me go along here. Dobie Dad says JP Morgan is now leasing silver. And again, sorry folks, I didn't go through all the comments here. I just wanted to go through some ones that had mentioned what we talked about during the show or the yesterday's show. So I'm going to have to cut down on some of the comments, but thanks for everybody for watching that I didn't respond to. JP is leasing silver and gold contracts to Bank of America and other banks just ahead of the congressional hearings on May 26 and 27. They are setting 2 banks up to take the fall. That's an interesting thought. I never even thought about that, but Dobie Dad, post some links on here if you would, so I can kind of read about that and kind of get a feel for what you're talking about, how they would be setting up 2 banks. That would be highly illegal to do, but legal is a shady gray line. Well, folks, thanks for watching this video, and let me move along from here. And where are we going from here? Gold and silver products. I'm going to leave you with this. What are the best deals out there in gold and silver products? Remember, I don't deal online. I can't ship to you, so you don't live in my neighborhood and you can't be in my store between 10 and 4 Mondays through Fridays, then I can't sell to you or buy from you. Sorry about that, folks. But no less, I don't mind helping you out-of-staters come up with some good ideas and thoughts here, too. Again, buy local if you can. Stay offline. Don't buy from the online dealers. And again, as I tell my local customers, I will beat JM Bullion, SD Bullion, and APMEX Bullion. I will beat the 3 big online sellers. To all my local peeps that come in here and you look at your phone and say, but JM has it. I will beat them. Don't worry about it. Meanwhile, if you don't live in my neighborhood or city or whatever, find a local coin dealer and ask him if he will. If he doesn't, if you can't find one or don't find one in your town or city, go into the county a little further. If you can't find one in the county, keep it in the state at least. Meanwhile, avoid buying online, not because those 3 sellers I told you about, online sellers, are great sellers, but I'm big on keeping that money local and what it needs and what it means to our communities, especially today in today's times. Keep the money local, folks. Best deals out there are any of these products that you can buy, and chances are they're not going to be any of the coins. They're not going to be Maple Leafs or Eagles, which are way overpriced in today's environment. Chances are you're going to be buying gold bars, silver bars, some 90%, some esoteric gold coins, as long as they're recognizable, and as long as you're buying gold and you're not paying any more than $100 per ounce premium, you're doing okay. If you're paying more than $100 an ounce premium on any gold products, you're way overpaying, in my opinion. Now, in the future, will it go higher? Possibly, if these shortages keep up. But right now, if you're paying more than 100, you're paying too much. Same thing with silver. If you're paying more than $5 an ounce premium for silver, you're probably paying too much. But I got to tell you, it's getting tougher to source good saleable silver products. Even I had to raise my price of 90% silver, which was the cheapest, and 1 ounce bars and 10 ounce bars to $5. I'm trying to keep it at that $5 and lower level, and I'm still way cheaper than APMEX, JM, and SD. No less, and the local sellers here. No less. If you're paying more than $5, I think you're paying too much. But I must say this caveat. I just stocked a bunch of silver maple leafs. They're going to run you, I think, spot plus 6. Close enough to that 5, but I'd still point you out to the lower price product while I have it. And that's what I recommend you look for at your local dealers as well. Hey, thanks for watching. This is Brian Kuzmar with Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals. Again, make sure you hit that like button, please. And share and whatever else, too. I appreciate it. Make sure you hit the bell there, subscribe to my videos. And thanks for watching. If you're in my area, come in anytime between 10 and 4, Mondays through Fridays, and happy to help you out with what the best deal is and what the best product of the day is, and whatever questions you may need. And please make sure you check out my other videos on YouTube. I got a couple here on my Facebook page and my reviews down here. Thanks for watching. Have yourself a wonderful weekend. I'm going to try to get some fishing in on Sunday. Whatever it is you do, whether you just sit around or you spend time with your family or go out and do something, enjoy it the best you can, folks. We're only here so long. Again, thanks for watching. Have a great day.